Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Guy Fieri's Piranha Bite, and it is the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start glass with ice. To that, we're going to add coconut rum. The recipe I found calls for 3 ounces and it makes a pitcher. I'm just going to cut everything into thirds. So we're doing 1 ounce. Coconut rum. Next, blue curacao. Once again, 1 ounce. Vodka. Once again, 1 ounce. Pineapple juice. Splash. Sweet and sour mix, which I just bought. So, forgive me. Calls for half a cup. Half a cup sweet and sour mix. What is 1/3 of half a cup, boys and girls? That would be 1/6 of a cup. So, not quite a quarter. There we go. And then a splash of lemon lime soda. And then we stir and serve. I need some more ice. Maybe add some more grapefruit juice too. Make it healthy. There you go, boys and girls. Guy Fieri's Piranha Bite. It's delicious. You would think there might be some grenadine or something for a little red, but whatever. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
Well, well, well. If it isn't the consequences to my own actions. That should absolutely be the tagline for this week's movie on the Scary Spirits podcast, Piranha. So consider this. You break onto private property, fight a guy who tries to stop you from draining a pool, you pull the lever to drain the pool anyway, and release piranha into a lake upstream from a summer camp in a new resort. Then you act all surprised at the chaos that ensues. I know we all love a good rule breaker, but do you really want to be responsible for unleashing government-funded genetically altered piranha into the world? Maybe it would be best if you paid attention to those keep out signs, especially on old government research labs. And on a completely different note, why, with all my education, can I not, for the life of me, spell piranha? Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed.
I feel like you're already laughing at me, Greg. We haven't even started and you're already laughing at me.
How are you, Karen?
It's been a week, Greg. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go into details or just want to leave it at that?
Well, I can just say, in addition to my delightfulness, I'm sure you're well aware I'm known for my elegance and grace.
Yes, everyone knows that, Karen.
Yeah, so it was
Those
shocking.
are the words, when someone mentions Karen Hudson, the first words that come to mind are delightfulness. Well, that delightful always comes first, but then next, followed closely behind, are elegance.
I know. So that's why this is all so shocking. I face planted people. Well, actually, I wrist planted, tripped on a sidewalk, and they put me back together. I was not brave, not going to lie. Once they started talking about needles in my neck to do a nerve block, I was gone. But it's together now, so hopefully
You have metal implants now holding all your stuff
yes,
together.
I finally have implants, Greg. It's finally happened.
Metal implants.
Yes. But not even good enough to set off security at the airport.
Yeah, so now you can't say my wrist is real.
Yeah, I cannot anymore. You're right.
But I'm sure all of our friends and listeners join me in wishing you a speedy recovery.
Well, that's lovely. And I think maybe at the end of this podcast, we'll have the GoFundMe for my pity party supplies. If anyone would like to contribute. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay, Karen.
Oh, did you have a rough week?
It was, work and stuff, getting ready for vacation, packing, stressful. It's very stressful, Karen.
That's the worst, getting ready for vacation.
And then I'm like, oh, I should clean this before I leave. I should clean this room before I leave. No one likes coming home to a dirty house, Karen. Is that true or no?
That's true.
But enough of my problems, Karen. Was this week's film my choice?
It was. I'm really curious to find out why you chose this film.
The film I have chosen is Piranha from 1978.
Before we go any further, I just want to say I cannot spell piranha.
I can't either. I don't think anyone can. I spell it right and it doesn't even look right. It's totally wrong.
I have spelled it so many different ways and it's hilarious. It's never right. But anyway, proceed. Why did you choose this?
Karen, this film was released in the United States on August 3rd, 1978. And this episode goes live August 7th. So there you go. Happy anniversary.
This seems so much more like a Karen movie than a Greg movie.
Does it?
It just seems out of character for you.
It does. It does seem like a Karen movie. It did occur to me. I'm like, oh, there's environmental shit in this. A little hinted at environmental
Yeah, it had
stuff.
it all in there.
Karen will be proud, I thought.
So excited for it. Do you have a drink to go with it?
So it's the 46th anniversary, Karen, apparently. Yes, I do, Karen. The drink I have chosen is Guy Fieri's Piranha Bite.
Excellent. What are we going to need to do that?
We're going to need coconut rum, blue curacao vodka, pineapple juice, sweet and sour mix, lemon lime soda, and lemons and limes.
That's a familiar combination.
Yeah.
It's a Lanai drink.
It is.
How do you make it?
And of course, the directions are going to make you a picture of it. It yields 4 servings.
Excellent.
But this time I said, nope. I just threw away a whole picture of shivery Santagria. I'm not doing that again. So I put everything into, I 1/3 everything. So in my version, we're going to need 1 ounce coconut rum, 1 ounce blue curacao, 1 ounce vodka, a splash of pineapple juice, or maybe a little more splash, whatever, you do you. I guess a little less than a 1/4 cup of sweet and sour mix, according to my math, and then a splash of lemon lime soda.
Sounds tasty.
Mix those all up in a glass with ice, stir, and
Well, as you might guess, I'm not enjoying because I'm on medication, although it might have helped.
so it never stopped me, Karen.
Well, you're a better man than I am.
Well, duh.
But it sounds good. Sounds delicious and refreshing and lanai-like.
But as I said on the YouTube video, Karen, it's very blue. It's very Shark Lady bluish.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be red.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be just a splash of grenadine or something in it.
Something floating in there.
So that like some red would like sink to the
because it's a
bottom or something.
bite, right? Like a little bite, just a little nibble, little red going in there.
So.
Well, now you can make your own. You can call it the piranha nibble and just put a little grenadine in there, float to the bottom.
Yeah.
Look at us. We're on fire.
Huh?
We're on fire with the creativity today. Must be the medication.
All right. Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own Guy Fieri's piranha bite? Because it's a very hard last name to say. Fieri's.
Yes, let's.
I practiced. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
I have to say, I love Guy Fieri. I love grocery games and Triple D and all that shit, but we digress. All right, Karen, might you have a synopsis for us? A brief one, maybe?
I do.
Go on. Tell us all a story about piranhas from 1978.
When thousands of military hybrid piranhas are accidentally released into a river that a children's holiday camp uses, the race is on to get downstream before the flesh-eating fish.
Thank you, Karen. We are. That pretty much sums it up.
Sorta.
Although it doesn't even mention the sleazy, but whatever.
They get a pass.
I know. Dick Miller. All right, Karen. Tell me everything you pleasantly surprised or really enjoyed from 1978. Remember 1978, Karen?
I'm sure it was fabulous.
Yeah, it's all very foggy, but go on.
Well, I'll start off right away and say there is sequel potential in a way that I like. We don't see the fish swimming off, but we get it implied that when the scientist, and I'm putting that in pretend quotations, says there's no way they could possibly get into the ocean. So I love that kind of sequel, and that's there. It's got a little bit of everything, kind of what you alluded to. There's a little bit of mad scientist. There's a little bit of eco horror. There's a little bit of bad government. There's, kind of taken a little from everywhere.
Sleazy resort people.
Yeah, like you have a kind of, it didn't focus on one thing. Everybody's bad.
Yeah, and the government and the sleazy resort people are in bed together.
I know. Imagine. How is that even possible? There's some interesting underwater shots, I thought. A couple of them. Some aren't great, but some are kind of cool. They do a pretty good job. It is, I don't know, enemy's not the right word, but you don't ever see really what's happening, but they use red dye very effectively in the water and churning the water. And even though you don't really see a lot, it instills a lot of fear. I still don't want to put my feet in the lake, because it's enough just knowing what's under there. It's never a mystery. We know from the beginning what it is. It's not, ooh, what is that?
Yeah, but
it doesn't even take us long to find out that they're mutant, So I think that it's kind of it's not as good as the John Carpenter thing where he uses a little to get a lot. It's not in that same category, but it's the same sort of technique where what's down there. You don't really see it, but your mind does it for you.
Well, that's the thing about water. You don't know what lies underneath, right? You don't really know.
That's true. The mystery, the water is the mystery. I don't know. I thought they did all right with that. It's obviously not a high budget film, so I thought it was okay. Some of the special effects are okay. That's pretty much all I got. Do you like anything about it?
Well, I thought the piranha effects were actually pretty good. What you see of them is very quick and choppy, and I'm sure I saw the same shot many, many times over and over again, but it's so quick you don't really notice.
They even had a sound that went with it, almost like a buzzing or something, but added to it.
Yeah. What you would think lots of piranha teeth would sound like, I guess. I don't know. I also said the underwater photography is pretty good. All in all, we're in a lake and a river, so it's not Blue Lagoon, Karen.
No, it is not.
But it's kind of murky and whatnot, which is what I'm thinking as I'm watching all these people swimming in this lake. I'm like, why are you swimming in that muck?
I said that too. I said that just looks
They're
gross.
even like coming up with like weeds and
seaweed, seaweed
like
plants on them,
whatever.
And this is the big resort, and I'm thinking I said the same thing.
Doesn't the resort have a pool?
Or at least a cleaner lake?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't mad. It's like an hour and a half, It's not bad for a 1978 B movie. It's got Dick Miller in it. Hell.
True.
Which goes back to Roger Corman. He's the executive producer. So who we just lost. I think that's originally why I picked it, or one of the reasons I wanted to do a Roger Corman thing. But yeah, that's all I got, Karen. I will say they are obviously trying to piggyback on the success of Jaws.
I'm assuming this came out afterwards.
Right after it, yeah.
Okay.
Like Jaws was 77, this is 78. So
just in case you were thinking about going back in the water.
Yes.
Nope.
No. And this is a lake. This is fresh water. This isn't.
Well, they got to get make sure you can't go in anywhere.
I did a couple times when I noticed the soundtrack. I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. It's not bad. It's not Jaws, but it's okay. Acting, I thought was fine, I guess. I don't know. It was okay. I don't think it was really terrible.
Yeah, but no one was really good either.
No, they weren't. Well, Dick Miller.
True, he was. He was good.
He plays sleazy like nobody's business.
Go with your strengths.
That's all I got. Anything you were very disappointed in, Karen?
I didn't think the acting was very good, except for Dick Miller. He was fine. I thought it was all a little over the top, but it is campy, so it's possible that was the effect they were going for. The weird thing is, and I didn't like one of the main characters, the woman, the hunter. She caused this whole thing, and with total disregard to boundaries and everything else, and then she's acting like the victim the whole time. It was very off-putting to me.
She didn't know.
She busted in a facility that said keep out and just knocked some guy out who was trying to stop her from draining the pond where the piranha were. And she did it anyway.
It's true. You are right. You put it
was the whole, I guess the whole premise of it is a little off.
I would kind of argue that she was looking for teenagers, but it wasn't because she was concerned about them or anything.
It was more, I think
it was a paycheck for her to find them. That's what it was.
But the premise is a little off from the very beginning. It wasn't an accident. It was, it's sort of an accident, but I just didn't like her character very much. So that's hard when you don't really like a main character that you're supposed to be rooting for. And the other guys is supposed to be.
I thought you would like that there was a female lead in this. And even the doctor, there's a scientist who's a female, Karen.
Yeah, but the scientists don't come off well in this. Well, the ones associated with the military for sure. But that's a general thing that happens in these movies. And then her partner in this whole thing is the town drunk, which we get over and over and over. He's the town drunk. But immediately when he stops drinking, which apparently he drinks all the time, there's no shakes or anything. This guy is just completely fine when he doesn't get his alcohol, even though that's all he does is drink alcohol. Plus, she just walks in his house. It was just bizarre
She's ballsy, I thought. I thought she was, especially for the time, I thought 1978, she's pretty ballsy.
I guess that's what they're supposed to be saying, is that's what she is. But I don't know. It just seemed weird to me. But other than that, it's fine. It's a little all over the place. With the kids' camp and the resort. And so it's a little choppy sometimes, I think. Oh, we're back here, we're back here, we're back here. And they team up very quickly together without any reason to team up together. I don't know. It seems very thrown together, but it's fine overall. What about you? Did you not like anything?
almost agree with everything you said. I've already argued about what I didn't agree with, but especially all over the place. It was like a little too much. Like we didn't need a camp and a resort.
Right.
One or the other would have been fine. You know?
Yeah, it would have gotten the whole thing across. You
Yes.
don't need,
Both.
yeah.
I mean, we got kids getting bitten, and then resort gets it the worst, I think. I think there's
And
only
everybody's
one
in inner
kid
tubes,
that
which is an
dies.
a very unfortunate position to be when the piranha attack, I think, but because they're butt down in the
Well,
water.
well, all you have to do is turn around and get on all fours. Whatever. I'd have made it. I know that.
Well, I'm sure you have no doubt that.
I can't think of anything else I didn't like other than everything you said.
I mean, I would argue that the nudity is not needed at all, but it's fine. It's 1958. It's not really like.
There's not a lot of it.
No, there's not, but it wasn't necessary.
Oh, one scene in it.
You can remind me what that is because I don't remember one where it's necessary.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll remind you. All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Before we give our cocktail rating, would you like to hear a review from the time, Karen?
Of course. What do you got in Critics Corner?
First, I have to tell you, it has a 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb, 72% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, that's pretty high.
What do you think Google users think, Karen? It's kind of a cult film, at this point.
I see. 84%.
Oh, a little too high, Karen. 80%.
Wow.
The review I have is from Variety. So, of course, it's dated 12/31/77, as they all are. Since the title characters in Piranha are never actually seen, there's lots of speeded up nibbling, but no close-ups of the deadly Brazilian river money. The pic utilizes a lot of red dye in the water and an auditory effect for the gnawing that sounds like an air conditioner on the fritz. Kind of does sound like an air
It
conditioner.
it was a kind of a buzzing kind of sound. Yeah.
What is different about Piranha is the unusual number of victims. Not only is the requisite slew of cameo performers dispatched quickly, but an entire camp full of school children and a holiday crowd at a lakeside resort get chomped. This is one film where the fish win.
Yeah, I was surprised they killed the kid, like went after the kids.
Heather Menzies plays an aggressive femme searching for missing person, I guess that's Maggie, who enlists backwoods recluse Bradford Dillman, that's Paul, in her cause. When they stumble on Mad Dr. McCarthy's Dr. Robert, Mountaintop Lab, they unwittingly release a generation of super hardy piranhas McCarthy was breeding for use in the Mekong Delta during the Vietnam War. Barbara Steele, who I guess plays Dr. Mengers, turns up as a government scientist who hints the piranhas may be back for a sequel. Menzies is attractively competent, and Dillman does what he's supposed to, which isn't much. Guess that's Paul. One yearns to have seen more of McCarthy and his lab, where a scaly homunculus.
Oh, remember those are the little things in Bride of Frankenstein. We talked about a homunculus.
Is seen lurking around, but never explained.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, me too.
That was another weird, that was a weird thing. I don't know. That was out of place, but whatever.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, Karen, what kind of cocktail rating you want to give this film?
I'd give it a 4. You want to argue for a 3?
Do I want to?
It's okay. It's not bad. I can see why people would watch it. It's the kind of film that, I like. Mad scientist.
What did we give Frogs?
Frogs was better though. Frogs wasn't as choppy and it had more of a story and had Sam Elliott.
Okay.
Young Sam Elliott. This one's just a little too much.
I'm okay with the 4. It's not a 3. So.
Were you going to go with a 5?
No.
Okay.
No. It's not that bad. It's a 3.5, so. But which makes it a 4. We've been a lot better movies through.
True. But sometimes you have to, as we've talked about before, sometimes you have to put them in their genre, Oh,
Karen, it's a horror podcast. The genre is horror.
But sometimes for for a B movie horror film, it's what you're expecting, or a folklore horror film, or sometimes it's just the scale slides a little. But I I think it's a 4 just because it's like we said, it's got the camp, it's got the resort, it's just a little, it's got the military, it's got the mad scientists, it's got just a little too much.
I don't think it's got enough camp. I think it needs more camp. It would be better if there was more camp, personally.
I meant the kids' camp.
Oh, the camp. Oh,
yes.
I thought you were saying it was campy.
No.
Okay.
No, then it would have been better. You would have been right.
Yeah, they play it pretty serious.
They do.
Except for Dick, man.
He has fun.
Yes. No, he came in for his day.
He might have been there 2 days. That's a little bit, I don't know. He's professional, though.
I'm pretty sure he's wearing the same outfit. Just in the one scene, he has a jacket and his scarf is tied. I think that's the only difference. All right. Are you ready to get into it scene by scene, Karen?
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
Well, it's what we do.
It is. Piranha from 1978.
We'll sell it, Greg. That's going to get a lot of people really excited.
Well, we've already given our review. They don't have to tune in to hear us go through it scene by scene.
Sure they do, because then we get our pennies if they listen to the ads.
Okay. The very
Come
end.
on, people, hang in there. Get us a couple pennies.
All right. So apparently it's rated R for violence, nudity, alcohol use, smoking, foul language, and sexual content.
All your favorites.
I know. I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. I'm not even sure of the sexual content. I don't think there is sexual content. There's nudity. I'm not sure there's sexual
there's implied.
Content.
She kind of hits on him a little, I think.
Does she? Not really.
Not effectively.
Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did.
It cost me 74 cents, Karen.
Cost me $2.99.
Yeah, I had to have one of those credits on my account, apparently.
Nice.
74 cents.
It's about right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not mad. All right, film opens and first thing we see pretty much is no trespassing sign. But then we see a couple campers walking and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to trespass. Walking through foggy fog.
Yep. And a full moon. So you're going to get a Judas Priest reference because he told her that breaking the law would be good for her.
Breaking the law. Yeah.
I'm setting you up as a softball.
I know, but I didn't pay attention. And apparently they are at a military test site that's, I don't know, maybe
not
abandoned.
on any maps.
Yeah. And they walk in and there's a huge pool and Barbara's very happy and she begins, I think, feeling frisky.
Well, they come up to a
very
pool.
romantical.
They don't know what's in it.
No one's around. There's a pool.
Let's rinse off before we go to bed. And he has some very good points. What if this is like a waste treatment plant or something? And she's like, oh, shut up, and throws him in the water. So,
Yeah, Barbara pushes him in and then she dives in.
She got undressed first.
Well, she went, she's topless topless in her underwear. And then the guy gets bit. And then they both appear to be getting bit. And there's all kinds of blood, I guess, around David. That's his name. And then he gone. Barbara screams. She tries to climb out, but she gone.
Yeah, we just see her bloody hand come up.
It's all very much implied. We just see red water and a hand coming out of the pool. And then we see power comes on in a control room or something, and a man exits. There's a man there. I was like, is he peeping? Was he peeping this whole time?
No, they were on his property.
I know, but he didn't stop them.
Well, I don't think he knew until it was too late.
Really? Okay.
Well, I don't know. Hard to say.
Then we have credits. And then we see a girl playing a Jaws video game. I guess they're in an airport, or no,
they're in the
airport, but at the rental car place, right?
Yes.
So apparently she's going to take a plane to look for the missing teenagers. They're teenagers, Karen, apparently, those two.
They looked like they were in their 20s, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, they were. Then we cut to a cabin in the woods. I guess the guy who we learn later as Paul is getting his liquor delivered to him by Jack.
And Jack has a dog with him.
Brandy.
Yes. You know what kind of dog Brandy is?
Some kind of herding dog, I'm sure.
It is a herding dog. It is an Australian cattle dog. They're also known as blue heelers.
I was going to say blue something or others. I had half of it.
So they have high energy levels because they're herders. They're an active mind and a level of independence. What do you think they rank in the intelligence list of dogs? And it is rated as one of the most intelligent dogs, ranked by obedience command.
8. I'm going to say 8.
Trainability. Very close. It's 10.
10?
Yeah. I think because they have, they mention an independent streak, so they can ignore command. Like that'll lower your score, apparently. But they are across.
Well, you said it's a 10. How's that lower his score?
It's higher in the intel. Like number 1 is the most intelligent. 2, 3, like that's the list that we do.
I was thinking ass backwards. I was thinking 10 was the best.
So 100 would be the smartest dog, and 1 would be. I guess you could look at it that way, but no, it's the other way.
Okay.
They're a mix between Blue Merle and Australian dingoes, and they were bred by British settlers in Australia in the late 1800s. They have plenty of energy and love to run, and they are devoted to their people as long as they have an outlet for all that energy. Yeah, they needed to run a lot. She's a good-looking dog, Brandy.
Looks a little old.
Well, she's loyal.
I think they call it a he, though.
I know. They did call it a he.
So then we see Maggie arriving in her Jeep.
Yeah, they rented the car at Hertz, so I don't know if that was some sort of.
Do you know what year Jeep that is, Karen?
No, it's probably around a 70.
I don't either. I didn't look it up.
I don't know.
But I wrote.
But she's wearing a.
Wait a minute. I wrote. I'm not sure she knows how to drive a stick.
No, it's looking.
That's
it's
what it sounded
ugly.
like to me.
She's struggling. That's what I wrote. She's struggling in this Jeep. And the whole thing at the airport with her boss was she can handle everything. And he's like, you're a city girl. You're going to be out. And she's like, I can do it. And then they show the Jeep. There are little, like she can find anything. And then she couldn't find her ticket when she's on the plane. There are little humorous things throughout the movie that are meh, But yeah, she's struggling.
And it starts smoking. She stops. So then she arrives at the cabin in the woods and introduces herself to Paul. She just walks in.
Yeah.
She tells him she is looking for the 2 teenagers, and she begins questioning.
Again, in his own home.
Yeah.
She just walks right in.
Yeah, she's ballsy. That's why she's good at finding people.
She's rude.
And I don't know why she forces Paul to take her to the military camp.
I don't know why anyone would do anything with her. But yeah, they're bouncing around pretty good. And that he's like, I'm not taking you. And the next shot we see, they're bouncing around pretty good in that thing.
Well, she's driving. He's just guiding her. She's driving the Jeep.
Well, presumably he's drunk.
Didn't look drunk.
No, he doesn't.
But then they arrive at the military site and Maggie breaks in. And then they arrive at the pool and find a locket which belonged to Barbara.
Well, they presume because it's got her initials on it.
They investigate the area and find it is not deserted. Someone is still there working. Lots of jars of specimens, Karen.
Yes, and there's still a warm cup of coffee, but they just, again, walk right in like a normal person would say, hello, is somebody here? We have some questions. Nope, they just walk in and start looking around at everything. And there is that
She got no time for that. She's finding people.
That weird little monster thing, which must have been a new special effect or something they could put in. I don't know.
I didn't even make a whole thing, but it's very much like Star Wars that just come out as well. So it was very much like the little chess things in Star Wars. Yeah. That's what it was. But then they find, when one of the teenagers backpacks, so Maggie knows that they were there and she wants to drain the pool.
And they never left, she says, because their stuff's still there.
Maggie wants to drain the pool.
But they could have been anywhere. Just because their stuff is there, they could have been anywhere on the site. And she's like, I'm going to drain the pool. And
well, there's the big switch right there, right in front of her. She might as well.
It says, do not drain.
Does it?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, it just says drain switch.
Just big arrow. Drain here.
So she hits the drain switch and then a man attacks them with a hook.
Well, he's saying no. As she starts to go do it, he tries to stop her from doing it. And then they have this big fight. They don't know who he is. They're trespassing on his property and they knock him out and drain the pond. They call it a pond. It's a pool, whatever. It's concrete. I just thought they're wrong. They're in the wrong here.
But they drain the pool and then they find that it was a saltwater pool. And then down by the drain, they find bones. And they think it's a dog.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there were no other bones in there.
And then the man who attacked them steals their Jeep and he wrecks it.
Yeah, because he's got a concussion.
He's kind of woozy.
Yeah.
So then they tie up the man.
Again.
Dr. Robert, who we learn about. Dr. Robert.
They're tying him up when they've kidnapped him basically from his own workspace. But I guess that you could think that they think that he killed the teenager.
And Dr. Robert is also a Beatles. Dr. Robert. But then he comes to and he starts mumbling or going on about razor teeth. And he says, you let them out. You don't know what you've done. They think he's delicious. And he probably is.
Well, they're going to kill all of us,
They're going to kill us all.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We appreciate you spending time with us. You can help us grow our audience by following us on social media at Scary Spirits Podcast. Just look for us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget to tell all your friends to find us too. Now let's get back to the show.
So then Maggie, the girl, starts questioning Paul again.
Yeah, because they kidnapped the dude, tie him up, and they've taken him back to Paul's, I almost said apartment, back to his cabin.
Yeah. She's asking him all about his wife and all that, and family, whatever. So they decide to take a raft downriver.
Well, wait, so before that, just to be clear, they were married 10 years. He talks about his past, but he does mention that he worked in the smelting factory, but it got shut down because it was killing too many fish. And then the army took over that area. So that's important. But he read Huckleberry Finn with his daughter so they can get on the raft and go to the dam where they're bringing the guy they have kidnapped, basically, because there'll be a ranger at the dam because they don't have a car anymore because he wrecked the car. So the reason they go to the dam is because they don't want them to open the gates and let the piranha. But they aren't really
down.
Necessarily convinced of that quite yet. So,
but we do learn that Paul's daughter is at a camp downriver, past the dam, summer camp, and apparently she's afraid of the water.
Yeah, she doesn't want to swim in the water. And I recognize she's with a camp counselor, and Greg will not know this, but
are you sure?
Well, maybe you will. My grandma, one of her stories was The Young and the Restless. And the camp counselor that is in with his daughter talking to her plays, probably still does, I don't know, Nikki on The Young and the Restless, which was a big part back in the day. It was funny just to see her very young in this movie.
Okay.
It's funny because I recognized her voice more than I mean, she's still a pretty blonde woman, but I recognized her cadence.
Blonde?
Yeah. Okay. She's on The Young and the Restless. Maybe still. That was one of my grandma's stories.
Oh, yeah. Melody Thomas Scott. Nikki Newman, The Young and the Restless.
There you go.
Yep. Oh, yeah. 1979 to present, it says. Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Series regular. So 1979. So she did this prior to that. And she was in Charlie's Angels the same year. There you go. So then we cut to the summer camp, see the daughter there, and she needs to solo swim to earn a badge, apparently. Camp counselor tries to assure her that she will be fine swimming in the river. And then I guess the guy who runs the camp comes up and...
Yeah, we just establish him as a jerk.
Tells her she needs to get some guts.
Yeah.
Some intestinal fortitude.
Yes.
Do you know what that means?
But basically, they throw darts at his face. His picture, at his picture.
Yeah,
not
later
but he's a jerk, and they just re-emphasize that a couple times.
So then we see Jack, the guy who brought the liquor to Paul earlier, getting drunk, sitting on the pier with his dog, Brandy. Of course, he's got his feet dangling in the river.
Yeah, he's fishing.
Yeah, and he's throwing meat into the river to try to get the fish to come. And
big hunks of meat, though. Almost like, what are you fishing for? An alligator? What's going on here?
And the dog starts getting concerned, apparently.
Starts whining.
And then Jack's attacked. Then we cut to Paul and Maggie on the raft with Dr. Robert,
who tells her to get her hand out of the water.
He tells them they released Piranha into the river when they drained the pool.
All right, so here's as good a time as any.
They blame him, and he's like, "You're blaming me? Really? You drained the pool."
That's what I was totally on board with him. I'm like, he is 100% right. So just a little bit about Piranha, because it's a little different than I thought, besides the fact that I can't spell it. But they have a reputation as ferocious predators that hunt their prey in schools. But recent research shows that they're actually in schools to protect themselves from predators, just like any other fish. So they don't cooperative hunt like in the movies you think that they do.
They're like a pack of wolves around, all go in.
Well, they do. That's just, they're in schools just like.
Yeah, but they're not in schools to like hunt. Like,
no, they're not. They're
not
just,
like wolves in a pack of wolves, where a pack of wolves will surround a prey and come in from different sides. And
that's how they've been presented. but that is not how they are. And even though they are popularly described as highly predatory and primarily feeding on fish, their diet actually varies extensively, and they're omnivorous. So they do eat fish, sometimes even their own kind, but they also eat mammals, invertebrates, fruits, seeds, leaves, and other things like that. So it's not what they've been. They've got a bad rap. And although often described as extremely dangerous in the media, piranhas typically do not represent a serious risk to humans. Attacks have occurred, especially when the piranhas are in a stress situation, such as dense groups that may occur when the water is lower during the dry season and food is scarce. Swimming near fishermen may increase the risk of attacks due to the commotion caused by struggling fish and the presence of bait in the water, which makes sense. Splashing attracts piranhas, and for this reason, children are more often attacked than adults. Being in the water when already injured or otherwise incapacitated also increases your risk. And most piranha attacks on humans only result in minor injuries, typically to feet or hands. But they are occasionally more serious and very rarely can be fatal. You could lose a digit, but
are they attracted by blood, sharks?
It says being already injured, but I don't know if it means that you're just slow.
I know, right?
Like you can't get out. It didn't imply that it was
like these in the film seem to be attracted,
right?
And that kind of leads me to believe that that's not true,
right? Well, that might be one of the mutations in the film.
Well, I can see where that could be true as well. I mean, blood in the water,
I guess, but it's more, they're not as ferocious as they've been portrayed. They're pretty much just fish with teeth. I think they're attracted to the splashing, so more the injury than the blood, but I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense as well. So then Paul and Maggie arrive at Jack's. Brandy is on the dock still barking, and then they go ashore and they find the body of Jack. Apparently he pulled himself up on shore, got so far before he bled out and his legs have been eaten. He gone.
Yeah, which they don't show a lot of, but still is pretty gross.
Then we cut back to the daughter with the camp counselor, and they're trying to get her out of having to swim in the river. This is when Dart's at the camp leader or whatever.
Yeah, they're going to fake a knee injury or something.
Yeah, they take a red Sharpie and draw a scab on her knee and put a bandage on it.
I think it was even a pen. It was even worse than a Sharpie.
So then we see a father and son in a canoe, and they're collecting nets in the river. Karen, guess they're catching bait. That's what it looks like. That's just nets. And then the dad gets bit. The canoe tips over, and dad gone. Son is hanging on to the top of the canoe, overturned in the river.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
So then Paul, Maggie, and Dr. Robert cut back to them on the raft. Dr. Robert tells them it was called Operation Razor Teeth. They were making killer fish to destroy the rivers of the Viet Cong during Vietnam. So they're trying to cut off their food supply or something. I don't know. Then they realized that the dam will open every couple days and let the piranha into the summer camp.
Which is just downstream.
This is when they realize they got to get to the dam. Then we cut to kids in their tubes splashing around at the summer camp. Maggie, Paul, and Dr. Robert on the raft heading down the river. They happen upon the boy on top of the overturned canoe, calling for his daddy. And Dr. Robert jumps in and swims towards the canoe.
Yeah, I didn't really get that whole thing.
The piranha give chase.
They do, and they win.
Dr. Robert reaches the canoe and then is attacked. He gone, but he does manage to get the boy onto the raft.
He does. So his last moment of glory.
And then they pull Dr. Robert up, and I wrote, "Oh, is he still alive?"
That's what I said.
He gone.
No.
He looks up and then he's gone.
Right when they say, "Tell us how to stop this," and he dies.
He gone. So then they're floating down the river in the raft, and Dr. Robert has his hand in the water, and apparently the piranha are drawn to it.
Well, he's bleeding. So his blood is soaking through the raft.
Yeah, and they begin chewing on the ropes, which are holding the raft together. When we say raft, this is a huckleberry fin raft. It's like logs.
Yes.
Lashed
He's very
together
proud.
with rope.
Yeah. Not a nail in it.
So the piranha are chewing at the ropes now, and it's falling apart.
That was actually a pretty good scene, I thought. The way that it was coming apart, and
it was, but it came apart really quickly.
It did.
Are they like on two logs, all three of them now?
But I thought it was a nice stressful situation where the logs, because they're in the middle of the lake, they're trying to get.
Well, it's only a half hour in. You know they're not going to die.
I
At least
know,
not
but
all of them.
I thought it was interesting. I liked it, the way the raft fell apart.
Yeah, so they rolled Dr. Robert into the river. Piranha eat him, and they are now on a much smaller raft, I wrote.
Yes, they are.
But they make their way to shore. Paul tries to run to the dam before they let the water through with the piranha. So then we hear, then we have words to read. Well, we hear a horn sounding. Then we have words to read. It's a sign on the dam that says, "Warning, sounding of air horn proceeds lowering of gates to spill water." So they're just feeding us. They're just telling us. That's what this horn means.
Yes, it was weird. I laughed.
So then a guy is on the dam. He's watching cartoons, and he begins preparing to manually open the floodgates to let the water through the dam. He's got to get his little lever, and he's got to attach it to the gears and everything.
And there is an ad for the resort on.
There is a TV commercial for the resort, and then Paul runs in and stops him. Next scene, Karen, the military are arriving. That's usually not good.
That's not a good, that can't be good.
And the military seems skeptical about this whole piranha thing.
Even though
we're
they
pretty
know
sure
about
we
it.
know better.
Yeah.
But they throw like a ham hock or something in there tied to a rope.
It's a big ham hock.
Throw it in there, soldier. Wrong. Throw it in there, son. They throw it in there, and then they talk amongst themselves for a few minutes. Then the colonel says, "All right, son, pull it in." And they pull it in, and it's pretty much gone, Karen. It's stripped clean. Didn't see any rumblings in the water or anything, though, which I thought was, I guess it's down at the bottom, though.
Yeah, it was, I think.
So anyway, they're going to flood the river with poison.
Yeah, so it's
kill every living thing in the river to get rid of these piranha.
Wrote no. Remember, I think that's the same. Is that the same thing they used in the creature from the Black Lagoon, or was it just another eco thing?
That sounds familiar to me.
But it's interesting. So rotenone, organic farmers use it as a pesticide. So organic food is not pesticide free. They do use it, but it's natural, so they can get away with it. It does biodegrade rapidly in warm weather.
I think it was creature from.
It is being phased out for all uses except for fish management, which I thought was interesting. And it kills fish not by removing oxygen from the water, but by inhibiting oxygen transfer and cellular respiration. They're going to just dump a shit ton of that in the water.
Then I guess we're in the military headquarters. I don't know where we are, but Paul discovers on the map that there is a way for the piranha to get around the dam through a.
But there's
if they're smart.
The piranha aren't smart enough to do that. Don't be silly. And then, of course, the doctor told them earlier that he was breeding them for intelligence and endurance. But the female scientist says, "Oh, Bob was a dreamer. Apparently she and Bob had a thing."
Dr. Robert. Yeah, Dr. Mengers, or whatever her name is, and that Dr. Robert apparently were more than friends. So then we see MPs guarding Paul and Maggie's tent.
Yeah, so it's a tent. There's one guy at the front. You could have just went out the back, right? Like, it was so, but of course, and then there's some stupid.
Well, there's no back door, Karen.
You just lift up a tent.
Back? Oh, you just lift it up?
Yeah. Well,
didn't it stake to the ground?
Anyway, she's going to distract him. Unless, of course, he's gay, then
Paul will unless it's like a fancy tent that has like the floor built into it. I mean,
I guess, but I suppose if the floor was built into it.
These look like military, like canvas, old school tents. So I doubt there's. But then Paul tells Maggie to distract the MP. So she goes out there and tries to distract him. She says, "I don't know, come on to him." And then she exposes her breasts, Karen. So this is the required nudity right here. This is the needed nudity. That's how she is distracting him so that Paul can pull his sleeping bag over the MP.
You can distract a man is just flash your breasts and that's it. Yeah. I don't even know how he put a sleeping bag over his head and then they ran away. It was like a cartoon.
So they get to a payphone and Paul calls the camp headmaster or whatever the hell he is. And he, of course, assumes Paul is drunk because he's the town drunk. This is
right. And it is late at night.
And we only hear one side of the conversation. So then Paul and Maggie head to the camp, but they get pulled over by the police. And of course, the police don't believe them either. And of course, the policeman recognizes Paul because he's the town drunk.
Yep, they got to say he's the town drunk.
takes him to the
In
station.
case we haven't got that yet. It's like the fourth time.
He
But
even says,
okay.
give me a breathalyzer or whatever, or breath test, he calls it, or whatever. And he says, I will, back at the station. And of course, the police call the colonel. They know exactly who to call when these two arrive. Let's call the colonel. Colonel tells them to keep them at the station. National security, Karen.
Well, they don't want him to cause unnecessary panic.
And then Paul begs the police to do something. Well, he's worried about his kid. I get
He wants
that.
to make a phone call.
Cut to the summer camp. They're telling ghost stories. And then the colonel calls Buck, Dick Miller. And apparently he runs the resort that I didn't even know where are we at? I missed the whole resort thing for a while there. I thought the camp was the resort that they talked about the military selling the, but
No, it's the two separate places.
then we cut to the camp counselors by the river, two of them, Betsy and Laura. Laura is your young and restless person. Laura wants to go swimming. She wants to go for a swim. She never gets to go for a swim by herself.
Yes, she wants a solo swim.
Let's get naked and jump in the water.
Yes, I thought for sure that's what was going to happen, but no, foiled.
Yeah, the guy, the headmaster or whatever he is, startles them, and he's heard that some of the campers are going to go swimming at night, and he's looking at. So they decide not to go swim that night. I had high hopes for that scene. Moving on.
I can almost feel your disappointment.
So then Maggie develops a plan to escape the local police jail that apparently she learned from someone who she was searching for in the past, someone who was a plumber, broke out of jail. So I don't know.
Well, it never worked before, but it might work this time.
Yeah, so she breaks the drain in her cell and smashes the toilet lid, the porcelain toilet.
Floods the place a little bit.
Floods the cell and then calls the police officer to come in, and he comes in and she whacks him in the head with a piece of porcelain.
Yeah. She has to take his pants off because his keys are hooked to his pants. And
pants.
Yeah.
Maggie unlocks Paul using the officer's keys, and they steal a patrol car. Then we cut to the opening of the resort. Buck is trying to sell lots, apparently, around the lake property. Cut back to the summer camp. It's time for the water competition.
Woohoo!
Guy who runs the camp tries to get Paul's daughter to get in the tube race, but she runs away while he is just talking to other campers. She hides under a canoe. And we see campers racing in an inner tube. They're doing some like relay race or something. Piranhas attack. Children
I think
splashing.
it's intercut in between here. The patrol car is racing towards the camp, right?
Paul and Maggie are racing toward the camp.
So it cuts back and forth a couple times.
Piranhas start biting the children. A piranha jumps out of the water and bites the camp headmaster on the face.
Yeah.
Children trying to get on top of their inner tubes away from the fish. Then we see Paul's daughter. She's trying to push a canoe into the lake, but he's too small. So she gets on an inflatable raft instead. And
I couldn't figure out what she was trying to do. And then I realized she's trying to get to the counselors.
Yeah, she doesn't care about the kids.
I know. She goes right past all of them.
Okay, whatever.
But she's trying to get to her.
Yeah, there's two, Betsy and Laura, our camp counselors, who were going to go skinny dipping earlier, are on a tube together, sharing one inner tube. And I wrote, one of them doesn't make it. Betsy's gone. Your young and restless girl.
Yeah, I have a note that some of the underwater shots are pretty good. So I don't know what was there, but
yeah, they are. Well, when she gets it, she like.
Oh, I think she like twirls down to the bottom.
Floats away. Yeah, descends like away. Yeah. It's pretty good.
It was a good one.
So then Paul and Maggie arrive. Maggie gets on the phone and calls the resort downriver to warn them. Buck,
they don't need no stinking warning.
Buck takes the call on his briefcase phone, Karen.
Yes. Gotta love that.
Of course, he doesn't believe Maggie because the colonel's already talked to him. I mean, he knows what's going on, but whatever.
And they're trying to figure out PR damage, right? Is that here?
Yeah.
Call the newspaper. Tell them they're going to get crank calls.
Then Paul says goodbye to his daughter. He and Maggie have to go to the resort themselves. At the resort, people enjoying themselves at the resort. I wrote, there's Lone Star beer product placement here, just so we know we're in Texas.
Yes.
Colonel and Dr. Mengers arrive at the resort, and they get on a boat ride. And there's a very prominent sign that says 8 people capacity.
8 or 18. I can't remember, but
no, I said it was 8 or 8. Yeah, one or the other. Then we cut to a water skier and divers. Right here, I have time check, 17 minutes left. First time I checked the time.
That's pretty good. I checked way before that. So I applaud you.
Scuba divers, I don't know why they're in there, but
I think they're looking for the piranha.
Well, they're attacked by the piranha.
I know, but I think they're part of the military, possibly.
No, you think? I don't know if they are.
I don't know. I couldn't figure out who they were either.
Then the skier goes past a body in the water, apparently the scuba diver who got attacked, and he tries to tell the girls who are driving the boat to pull to shore. Yeah, but they ignore him because they want to try to make him
fall in the water.
Because
he's skiing so well.
Yeah. And then there's a boat explosion crash, which I saw like as soon as I saw there was a boat and there was a guy with looked like a gasoline can in his hand. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to
throw in a boat explosion.
We're going to have the boat explosion here. And sure enough, that's what we get.
For no reason.
Nope. Then we have cut back to the resort and we see a girl reading Moby Dick.
It's crowded. And
it's too crowded. I wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah. And like you said, it's the water's gross. Why would anybody want to be in it? I mean, whatever.
Yeah. So then we see a girl at the resort attacked. Others are soon attacked after. There's blood in the water.
Chaos.
Buck is informed that piranhas are eating the guests.
Yes, that was probably the funniest line in the whole movie.
As he's calling like newspapers or something, trying to do damage control.
Yes. What about piranhas? They're eating the guests, sir.
Then we have underwater shots of bare breast being attacked by piranhas, Karen.
Yeah, weird.
People at the resort helping others out of the water, but the colonel is pushing people off the raft who are trying to get out of the water on a little boat.
They're going to flip the boat, is what he's saying. So he's kicking them in.
Paul and Maggie arrive. Colonel falls in the water. He gone.
Just his hat floats to the bottom, which was kind of nice.
And Paul and Maggie take a boat out into the lake. Paul has a plan to pollute the river and kill the piranhas. They arrive at the smelting. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, that's what he called it.
Smelting plant. But the lake water has risen above the control room. It makes sense that he worked there because it's kind of wondering, how does he know where all this stuff is, how to get there? But so Paul ties a rope to himself and jumps in the water. He tells Maggie to count to 100 slowly. And if he isn't back, to get out of there. Just gun it. I wrote, Paul can hold his breath a long time.
I agree.
He can count to 100 slowly. That's at least 5 minutes, probably.
It's at least 2.
It's at least 3, I would say.
But
I guess you can. Yeah, I mean, if you practice deep water.
I can't. I will say that.
No, I can't. But there are people who
I agree.
And dive and hold their breath a long time because they've trained themselves to do so.
And when I used to swim a lot, when you do
were
lifeguard
training.
Yeah, when you do that kind of training, we would play around where we could swim farther and farther by holding our breath. So you do get accustomed to it, but he's holding his breath a long time.
So he busts into the control room. He reaches the valve, and of course, it's all rusted shut and hard to turn. Piranha arrived. They attack Paul. Maggie is up to 82, 83.
I know.
And we cut back and forth between them as she's counting, but at this point she's up to 83.
And he's getting pretty decimated. He's getting bit pretty bad.
Paul does manage to open the valve, still being bitten by the piranha. Maggie reaches 100 and guns the engine to the boat, pulling Paul out of the control room. Cut to the resort.
Looks like a war zone.
Yeah, it does. A lot more bodies there than at the summer camp. Paul's daughter arrives with his canteen looking for him. And I'm thinking, is there water in that canteen now, or is it still like rum?
Is it
coconut
tequila?
Rum, hopefully.
It's got piranha bite in it.
She finds her dad and they try to get him to drink. So then Dr. Menger, that is being interviewed by the media. She says there's no way the piranha can survive in salt water and there is no threat to them reaching the ocean.
She smiled
and says there is nothing left. Credits, the end.
So I'm assuming the love connection stands, Paul survives, and the piranha rush off into the ocean.
Well, no, we don't know Paul's fate.
No, we don't.
You believe what you want to believe. They all live happily ever after.
No, the piranha got into the ocean. That's what I believe, because
Paul and Maggie hook up, and Paul stops drinking, and
oh yeah, and they become
they're
a happy family,
mixed family now,
blended family,
blended. Yeah, that's my ending.
Well, you're an optimist.
All right, Karen. Did you enjoy your Guy Fieri's?
I didn't. I told you I didn't drink it.
You said
so. If anyone out there drank it, let me know.
Karen can't drink alcohol because she's on hard drugs.
Not really, but just don't want to.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I bet.
I liked it.
It's like the Shark Lady, or
Mhm.
we've had other ones like it. It's definitely good.
Yeah. I would put a drop of grenadine in it though. If it
I
were
agree.
me. It needs to be bloody.
See, look at us.
Piranha bite.
How many films have we done?
170, Karen.
170. It took us 170 films to be like, you know what I'd do?
Actually, this is 172.
I'd put a drop of grenadine in there. Only 172 films in before we like think for ourselves and come up with something creative.
I've come up with my own cocktail.
All right, you're
Once.
creative. I think twice, didn't you?
I don't know. But they're really just variations on something I found. Anything we learned today, Karen?
Little about Australian cattle dogs, about the pesticide
Blue healers.
rotenone, how it kills fish, and about piranha. That's it. Not a lot today.
That's fine, Karen. You're on hard drugs.
Medical leave. I'm on medical leave.
Can't expect
Which
you
hopefully
to
by
do
the
a
time
bunch of
this comes
research.
out, I'll be better, right?
We can all hope and pray, Karen.
Send good vibes.
All right. Are we ready to move on to our next film, Karen?
I suppose we are.
Okay, good. What will that be, Karen? It's your choice.
Well, we have a big birthday coming up. Not for you, not for me.
I was going to say, did I forget your birthday? It just seemed like it wasn't that long ago.
I like that panicked look on your face, though.
No, I know it's not your birthday.
It's a longtime listener's birthday. She's turning 40 years old.
She wants to put that out there that she's turning 40.
Apparently, yeah. So Courtney, longtime listener, wants to celebrate her birthday by picking the movie and the cocktail.
Has she picked it yet?
She has.
Okay, go on.
She picked the 1984, which was the year that she was born,
Oh my God.
horror movie, which I don't understand because that's 20 years ago, but whatever.
I know, right?
Gremlins.
Okay.
And she picked the cocktail, which is the Gremlin cocktail, which is quite a cocktail. I can't believe this is for one cocktail, but it is. 6 ounces of Crown Royal whiskey, 3 ounces of Rose's lime juice, and ice. You put it all in a mason jar and stir with a fork. That seems like a lot of whiskey.
And then sip.
Enjoy. So we're celebrating Courtney's birthday.
All right. Well,
I guess she's doing it up big, and this will just be yet another extravaganza in her honor.
she's not joining us though, right?
No,
Okay. Well, happy birthday, Courtney.
we'll hopefully not sing because that wouldn't be good.
I feel like I might have a lot to say about this film though already.
I think I've seen this one. Pretty sure I've seen the whole thing.
I haven't.
Not sure. I mean,
But I have like you said, it was just 20 years ago.
I know,
I
it's
have
like-
very familiar memories.
So I don't know how she's turning 40 when this was 20 years ago, but whatever time warp she's in, you do you, Courtney.
Really, she's only 20, I would say.
1984, 2024, 20 years. That's all I know.
Right. I'm with you, Karen. I agree. All right. I will look forward to that.
That's a heck of a drink. I don't.
Brown Royal and lime juice. It's simple.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna half it. I don't
got
think
them both.
I'm not gonna
I
drink
even have
6
mason
ounces.
jars
I have mason jars too.
and forks because apparently that's important.
I don't know. Does that have something to do with the movie? No, I don't know either. I can't remember things from 20 years ago. What do you want
I
from
know.
me?
Well, we just said we could.
Well, not movie
I
stuff.
just remember it was all about not getting them wet and don't feed them after midnight. So that's all I know about it, mostly.
Maybe it'll jog some memories. Maybe I'll remember who I actually went to the theater to see it with.
Ooh,
I know,
maybe
it's
maybe I'll take guesses.
It's a mystery.
All right. So you think you did see it at the theater?
Maybe. I'm not sure though. I tend
I
to
know
get them in those
I
little
didn't go there. I was working at a fast food restaurant and we gave away Gremlins
oh,
things.
I get them confused with the Star Wars little thing.
The
Fuzzy
Ewoks?
things. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I'm not sure.
I might have actually, now that we're more to talk about it, I might have rented it once it came on video and rented it. But
Went down the old Blockbuster.
yeah, I don't really, apparently it didn't stand out to me. Maybe as I'm watching it, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that. But I don't know. It's funny. It's just 20 years ago. You think I could remember? All right. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, I'm going to thank the listeners for their thoughts and prayers and also for listening. We do really appreciate your support. There are a lot of podcasts out there. Thanks for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Karen, I want to thank you for like working through this and all your
Powering
pain.
through.
Yeah, powering through. And
He's laughing while he says that, but I'm going to take it because, those are few and far between. So I'm taking it.
And also, I want to thank the great people of North Carolina and Virginia, Karen.
Wow.
There you go.
Southern states
the
coming
Southeast. Through. And of course, the band of Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please walk and drink responsibly.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.